Morning, everybody. I just woke up and I was so annoyed by this experience that I thought it would be a great opportunity to write an article about dark design patterns. So this is how CallHippo scam people with dark design patterns. So just so you know before we start what a dark pattern is, it's also known as a deceptive design pattern, and it's a user interface that has been carefully crafted to trick users into doing things such as buying overpriced insurance with their purchases or signing up for recurring bills. In this case, it's recurring bills, and we'll go into that in a bit. The user experience designer Harry Brignall coined the term on the 28th of July 2010 with the registration of the darkpatterns.org website, which is a pattern library with the specific goal of naming and shaming deceptive user interfaces. So maybe I should be posting it on that site as well. So let's start. So here's how CallHippo scams people with dark design patterns. So on December the 7th at 7:29 a.m., I get this email. Your subscription will auto-renew on the 13th of December. Fantastic. So I'm on the bronze account, which is $20 a month. And they tell me the estimated charge. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm not using this right now, so I better downgrade. So what I do is I go to my profile, I go to plans and billing, and then I downgrade the plan. I may have actually even clicked on the update payment method. I think at this point it doesn't really matter. I logged into CallHippo, I go immediately to plans and billing, and this is the page I see. I see my basic plan. So this is at 10:45 a.m. within an hour. I see that I have a user at $0 a month if I downgrade to basic monthly. Cool. So I go to downgrade my plan. Of course, I was wrong because I immediately got hit with a charge for a phone rental that isn't really mentioned here at all. It does say numbers on the right-hand side up here, but it still says $0, right? It doesn't have any pricing here at all. So there is nothing telling me that I'm going to get charged. The next few minutes, I receive a email saying, thank you for your payment. And so they told me my subscription has been renewed and I've been invoiced $96. Okay, well, so suddenly I get charged $96. What for? I downgraded my billing to $0. It explicitly told me $0. Okay, so this is where it becomes really dark. I immediately jump onto a customer support, as you would, customer support chat, and I sent a message. Here's the highlights of the conversation. I basically just started the message saying, here's the flow I went through. It said $0. Please reverse that charge immediately. I actually want to pause my account, not randomly get charged $96. Their response was to investigate it and then say, I can see and confirm you are on the basic plan. The plan charges are $0, correct. The $96 charges we see here is for a number rental for the year. That is $8 times 12 months if you have it selected. You will see the same in the invoice you have shared as a screenshot. So I'm obviously really pissed off at this point because he's told me there's an invoice that I shared, and it's okay for them to just send me an invoice, and from their perspective that's a confirmation. So yeah, completely irrelevant. And I'm like, dude, come on. I tried to remove my account, look at my screenshot, it showed $0. You can't just randomly charge an extra $8 without showing it to the customer. So just to recap here, I requested a reversal immediately after they charged me, as they have charged me without proper communication for something I don't even know about. Their customer support says that plan charges are $0. Correct. But then there's another fee not mentioned in the flow, which is the $96. He thinks that's fine because it's in the invoice, which doesn't make any sense. Then I explained that charging $96 without prior consent is, without prior explicit consent, is basically fraud, right? Like, that's not okay. So then he obviously has an SOP here. There's obviously an SOP of the company they have to follow, and that's fine. Can't blame the guy, you know. However, from the response that they gave, it's thank you for sharing your perspective here. So he just doesn't care about the customer's opinion here. He's not interested in reading further. He basically has just said that I have another rental on my account, so they decided to charge that from me when I consented to a $0 fee for an account downgrade. So this is why it's a dark design pattern, and I'll go into that further just to explain what that dark design pattern actually looks like as a user flow. Regarding pausing or cancelling your account, so this is interesting. So he decides that he's going to educate me on how to cancel my account, and doesn't want to admit that they don't have a pause option. So they're pretending that cancelling is the same as pausing, right? So it can be done from your side. I request you to kindly follow the steps below to get this done. How to cancel account. Okay, so this isn't even reasonable. Like at this point, I'm like, you guys have scammed me. I'm thinking about writing a blog post about this, and this is why I've made this video. So he decides to educate me on how to cancel my account. Doesn't want to admit they don't have a pause option. They pretend it's the same as canceling. That's a terrible guise, right? Like if you have a product which you are subscribed to, and you have the option to pause the account or cancel the account, and you think about, you know what, I may want to reactivate this later, you don't want to go through the hassle of having to re-register and set things up again. So you don't want to cancel the account, right? Like when you think about it psychologically, if they combine cancelling and pausing together, then customers are less likely to cancel. So that's like, this is another, like you could call it like a smaller dark design pattern in my opinion, but not the main one, but just a side note. So I conclude that they have scammed me, and that's that. In a fairly mind-blown state, I proceed to retrace my steps and make sure I wasn't imagining this terrible dark pattern I had just witnessed occurred, right? Which, well, this is why I created this document, because I wanted to retrace my steps and just make sure that I hadn't made a mistake. Cool. So, you know, I shouldn't give up so easily. I thought, okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And maybe it's just an SOP. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why this whole thing's happened, because Dylan here has an SOP that he has to follow, and that's that. So this is where I know that this is just a dark pattern that are using to scam people, because I escalate the problem via email with no avail. And somebody called Jintu, who I'm speaking to, then also goes through the conversation and gives me the same bland answer. And then the way it's phrased is like, oh, we just want to share with you what you've done, right? We just want to share with you that you've signed up to the basic package with a US local number, and the US local number. So he's just basically telling me what their policy is, without, again, like completely disregarding the user flow, user journey that I sent him. I sent him the whole user journey by email, by the way. So he goes through the conversation. He tells me there's a clause on some other page I've never read, and it says, sorry, it's raised really fast. It says it's my fault in this case. Because I didn't read this line down here which says unlimited users pay only for numbers. Right, but you never explicitly showed me the price for that number on the page where I gave you my consent, right? Well, so I tell him I never went through that flow. He should actually look at the screenshots I sent him so he can analyze the situation like a reasonable human being would, right? And he just gives me another bland message which says, we totally understand your point. But they don't understand my point, obviously. We are sorry to inform you that we will not be able to proceed the refund, since we are also getting charged by a carrier for the number that is active on your account. So he's basically telling me that he's unable to refund me, and he's trying his best to help me. He's clearly not, though. And just to top that off, he's now passing their problem onto me as an end user, which is obviously very bad. So the last part, I say, you know, this is I just tell him, right, like, this is a product experience problem. And you definitely shouldn't be holding your customers, i.e. me, my money, hostage for your own failure. It was never notified to me before that that in the downgrade there'll be any charge to my credit card. And so I just show him the flow. Say, this is the flow I took. Like, this is bad. Like, this is bad. And I make it very clear. Like, I'm obviously very angry at this point, right? Like, come on. Like, I've spent, like, however long, I think about 45 minutes trying to explain the situation to them, and they just keep giving me the same cookie cutter answers with no with no change in their answer really. So I've explained to him that I've been charged without consent and how bad it looks. Right, that doesn't look good. So this is where it gets really bad. Again, Dylan replies. He says, "I regret any misunderstanding caused here," and then he tells me what I experienced. Please note, which isn't true. This isn't what I experienced at all. Please note that the system provides clear notification of the charges before the plan and rentals are confirmed. Well, no, it didn't actually at all. It told me $0, and then I suddenly get charged $96. So that's a lie. Then he goes to reiterate again, "I understand that you may be frustrated. However, these charges are done based on notification sent to you before the final confirmation. That never happened. I received an invoice after agreeing to $0 charges. So this is again another lie." So the original live chat rep just basically lies about the situation. Just because you say something is true doesn't make it true. I think that's some feedback for CallHippo there, right? He restates that it's policy, and this confirms that actually they are so programmed to follow this bad SOP that it's actually probably consciously designed as a dark pattern. And that's why I've made this video, because it's just really bad. I think other CallHippo users need to know about it. So what's the final dark pattern, and why CallHippo, i.e. Appit Simple, Infotech, PBT Limited, are basically knowingly scamming people? Well, so the first part, they begin by knowingly sending me an email to update my payment method. This is common practice. This is fine. This is to actually make sure that collections every month is as high as possible. So they give you an update payment method to make sure that if your card's expired or if you've changed bank accounts or something like this, they collect as much as possible. Fine. However, they show you this lovely page which says it's fine and you can downgrade to $0 a month. Once you press the downgrade button and you can see that you're getting $0 a month's charge, you immediately receive an invoice in your inbox telling you you've been charged. And if you had anything else on your account, in this case, I was renting a number in the US because I didn't want to pay the large fees of calling US numbers, then you will get charged for it. And so I got charged $96 for this US number. Wow. So just to like top it off, I then get told again it's my fault because of this notification, right? So this is the email that I had before where I highlighted, they've said I got shown a clear notification when I told them I didn't. Like, I've sent them this flow like 3 times at this point. And they still like tell me again that I'm wrong. And so there you go. So that's why I created this video. I hope you learn about dark design patterns. My advice is don't use CallHippo. But I learned a lot going through this process. I did a lot of research into dark design patterns or deceptive design patterns after this, and I hadn't really looked into it much before. But now that I've been bitten by it, I can tell you that, well, from this video, anyone who views it probably is not going to want to use CallHippo. I certainly am not going to be using CallHippo in the future. So I would say that using dark design patterns is going to always lose you more users than it's worth in the medium long term. I wouldn't do it. And refund me, CallHippo. Come on.